This is my review of MNBRT radio for Friday, July 2nd, 2010. It was a pretty great show. The guest was Dr. Gregory Bambenek, aka Dr. Juice, and he talked about his psychiatry career as well as his sort of side project where he actually creates pheromone scents. He creates scents for, let's say, fishermen, for hunters, things of that nature. Pretty interesting profession. He has a business where he actually creates pheromones, creates scents for different purposes and things of that nature. And he was one of the individuals who was on the Skookum expedition of 2000 with the BFRO, which collected the Skookum cast. And he believes, yes, it is of a Sasquatch. He believes it's a Sasquatch imprint. And, you know, he was asked various questions from the chat room by various folks, including Bill Green asking his standard question. There were some other questions that were asked to him by different folks in the chat room. Grasshopper was asking him about how different, if he'd ever experimented with using just human pheromones alone to attract a Sasquatch, and he said that what he did was he would combine human pheromones with something like gorilla pheromones and things of that nature. And that's how he developed the pheromone chips, his pheromone chips. That's apparently what he does. He apparently, he's gotten very good, from what I understand it, developing different scents for different purposes, which I think is pretty interesting. It's a very interesting side career, that's for sure. He was also asked some questions by some of the folks in the chat room. And then Tina Harder called in and asked some questions to him about some of the pheromone chips and things of that nature, and referring also to bears. Dr. Bambenek has actually worked with bears in Minnesota, along with Dr. Lynn Rogers, the man who is known as a bear expert, the man who walks with bears. There was a documentary done on him several years ago. Let's see. And I think I asked him how he came about with the pheromones for Sasquatch scent. I asked him if he ever experimented with different scents and done any. Actually, he hasn't done that. He told me that it was a team of scientists who came up with the scents, the different scents for primates, mainly primate scents, things of that nature. And I was the one that asked him about the Skookum cast and how there were those who thought that it was made by an elk, and he said, no, I don't think so. I've looked at it. I've examined it. I was there. He said that he was there. He examined it. He was there when it was taken, so obviously he would know more about that than a lot of other people would. But it was a really great show. 5 stars as always. Actually, I was the co-host. I sat in as co-host last night because Evie was taking the week off. And Evie, we're looking forward to having you back next week, hon. You know, we sure missed you last night. We sure did. But it's always great to hear from folks and get questions for the guests and things like that. It's always terrific. Next week, Mike Hall, a well-known researcher from Texas, he's going to be the guest. He does a killer George W. Bush impersonation, by the way. If you've never heard it, maybe somebody will ask him to do it next week, and you'll be in for a treat, trust me. It's great. He does a terrific W impersonation. He really does. It's going to start at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, www.blogtalkradio.com/MNBRT. And I understand that Evie will be back next week, so it'll be great to have her back. And I also want to wish everybody out there a happy 4th of July. And be careful, be safe. We want you to come back with all 10 fingers. So be careful when you're lighting those fireworks. And we We hope that you're able to safely celebrate our 234th anniversary as a country. Um, Also on Night Callers tomorrow night, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, www.blogtalkradio.com/nightcallers. They're gonna interview. They're gonna do a full interview with Laurie Phillips and Luke Gross. It's going to be called Night Callers Interviews Night Callers. This is kind of part 2. There was a part 1 about 3 weeks ago where they interviewed Laurie, but Luke was not able to be there that night. So this will be kind of a part 2 of that, and I think that'll be a terrific show. Again, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, tomorrow night, Sunday, July 4th, 2010. And then let's see, Bigfoot Busters. I'm not sure what Tim and Chuck have got planned. Let me take a look. I don't know if they've got anything planned for anything special planned anyway. I'd have to look at their website. Let's see here. Oh no, it's TCSJR Bigfoot. That's right. But yeah, they'll actually, the Bigfoot Busters will begin at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, www.blogtalkradio.com/TCSJR Bigfoot. They don't have anything special planned, I see. Or they don't have a description yet for who the guest is going to be or what the rating is what's going to be happening on the show. But it will begin at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. And as always, we always say this, or at least I always say this to everybody. We encourage you to please tune in and support great research.